Hello, fellow residents of Tamriel. It is the Beeve, and I wanted to do a little update to the sorc build that I have done for uh, lower level characters in the past. I've had a couple different people that have contacted me recently wanting help with their DPS, and most of them are using sorcs. So what I wanted to do, I've already done this once where I had a 300 champion point set up for um, you know really good DPS. The problem is, since that was made a while back, abilities have been constantly become nerfed since then, unfortunately. So I wanted to do something a little bit different and a little bit higher CP level as well. So the people that have been contacting me are people that are in the 5, 6, 700 CP range, and they're still struggling with DPS. So what I made here was a build where you can put out really good DPS. It is basically a AOE and damage over time type of build, which works very well with lightning sorcs. So I wanted to make this video to show a couple different people in the guild exactly what we've been or what we've been talking about when they've asked me these questions. One person that comes to mind is Kill Charlie. I had him in mind when making this because he's in like the 700 range, and he's been working on improving his DPS, and he's getting better at it. And I can explain till I'm blue in the face how to do this stuff, but without some people like looking at it visually and seeing what I'm doing visually, it's hard for people to understand exactly what I'm asking them to do or trying to show them to do. So that is the point in the video today. So what we've done is we've put together a rotation, gear set, and champion point setup for a 600 CP sorc. Now, first and foremost, let's go over our character sheet. 47,500 in Magicka with a 761 recovery, 18,761 health with a 1,009 recovery, and 10,027 stamina with a 617 recovery. We have a 2241 spell damage and 59.1 spell critical with 13,000 resistance spell and 11,000 resistance in physical. Now, when we bar swap, those numbers change a little bit. A little bit higher spell damage at 2284 and higher spell critical at 66.1. This is just because of sorc abilities being put on. Some sorc passives give me a little bit more spell damage on my back bar, or on my I refer to it as my back bar. Some people refer to it as their main bar because they're on it more often. Whatever. Spell critical goes up as well because I am using a precise staff on that back bar. Now, I am using the Shadow Mundustone for 18% more critical damage done. This should be 19%, but I got one piece of gear that I need to transmute that I've just been too lazy to do. So, but when I put that into Divines, that will go up to 19%. I am using Disastrously Bloody Mara. This is a Magicka max health food and also provides health recovery. That's why my health recovery is 1,009. We're going to use a heavy attack rotation with this, so the Magicka recovery does not have to be that high. And we're going to get through parses with our Magicka recovery where it's at with our heavy attack rotation. Now, skill-wise, main bar, we are Unstable Wall of Storms, Lightning Flood, Summon Volatile Familiar. Bound Aegis is here just for the max Magicka, And then Inner Light is here for the Max Magica and the Major Prophecy it gives. And then we have Shooting Star. This is our Trash Mob ultimate. We can throw it in Trash Mobs, do a ton of damage real quick, and for everything it hits, you get 12 ultimate back, so you can regen that ultimate really quick. On our back bar, we have the Summon Volatile Familiar. We have Daedric Prey. This is a very important ability. This is going to buff our Scamp and the damage that he does, and it's going to buff our Greater Storm Atronach's damage he does. I'm using Degeneration for the damage over time and the major sorcery it provides, plus Bound Aegis and Inner Light once again. So this setup right here, I'm going to get major sorcery from my Degeneration, and I'm going to get major prophecy from my Inner Light, having it on both bars. So we got our major prophecy and major sorcery taken care of. So we can just use regular everyday Magica pots with this build. So we're not spending a ton of money on the ridiculously overpriced cornflower right now. So keep that in mind. That's one of the reasons why I made this way. So you can keep up your major buffs and not have to spend a ton of gold on the mats for the spell power pots and the spell critical pots. So that is one of the reasons why I have this set up this way. Greater Storm Atronach is on this bar as well. This is our hardest hitting single target ultimate that we have as a sorc. So this is our single target ultimate. This is our Trash Mob ultimate. Our champion points, we have this. I've taken 70 points out of all 3 of my trees, so we're sitting at 200 points in each tree. So like I said, 600 CP setup, so 200 points in each tree leaves me with 23 in Warlord. Oop. 75 in Tenacity, 75 in Arcanist, and 27 in Tumbling. I have 51 in Elfborn, 49 in Elemental Defender, 4 in Spell Erosion, 21 in Staff Expert, and 75 in Thaumaturge. Like I said, this is basically all damage over time build here, so we want to make sure this Thaumaturge is up so we're getting the most we can out of it. The 75 is basically just so we get this extra damage to off-balance enemies by 10%, which is huge because we are a Lightning Sorc using Lightning Staff, which sets concussed enemies off balance when we use our Unstable Wall. So we do a lot more damage during that unbalanced or off-balanced phase. Also during off-balance phase, I don't know if most people realize this or not, especially if you're newer. When you've set an enemy off balance, obviously you're doing more damage because they're off balance, and then this Exploiter perk gives you an extra 10% on top of that. Plus, using any heavy attack when a target is off balance gives you back double resources as well. So you'll see me every now and again when the off balance pops up on my screen. If I have, you got 7 seconds at that point. That's how long they stay off balance. So if that pops right around the same time I get ready to do my heavy attack, you will see me double heavy attack in a row and get almost all of my resources back. So keep that in mind. Off balance enemies return twice as much resources with heavy attacks. Red Tree, we got 61 Ironclad, 9 Spell Shield, 43 Hardy, 43 Elemental Defender, 44 Thick Skinned, and nothing in the Lord. Our setup here is we are running Mother Sorrow, and we are also running Necropotence. Both sets are easily found in traders, easily farmed in their respective areas. Mother Sorrow is found in Dasan. Necropotence is found in Rivenspire. You can find these in those areas by doing delves, world bosses, finding chests, doing dolmens, anything you do normally in that area. Now, very easy to farm. If you have the gold to buy it, you can just go purchase it as well. To get everything in Divines, you're going to pay a little bit more money for, obviously, but if you have Transmute Crystals, you can buy it in a trait that's, less than desirable really cheaply and just transmute. So, however you want to go about getting it, it's very easy to get. You do not have to run trial run after trial run or dungeon run after dungeon run. trying to find groups to run this stuff and then hoping they pass you the stuff that you need. This is just, go find it in a trader or go farm it and hope for the best. So a little bit easier to get your hands on, in my opinion, especially if you do have the gold. Just go to the trader. Now, all of my jewelry is gold. This is not a necessity. Purple works just fine. All of my jewelry is bloodthirsty. This is not a necessity. Arcane is actually probably your better option unless you are running a lot of trials or a lot of dungeons where bosses have a ton of health, like hard mode on the new uh, Unhallowed Grave. Like, you hit hard mode on Unhallowed Grave, that boss gets 18 million health. That Bloodthirsty shines in that situation because it's such a long execute phase. But if you're not really doing those hard mode dungeons or trials too often, the Arcane is your best bet. It's going to give you more resources and give you more upfront damage and less back end damage. So it equals out. It's in a normal dungeon, it's going to probably maybe even outperform the Bloodthirsty because execute phase goes so quickly. But regardless, I like mine being bloodthirsty because I play all kinds of content. But purple, uh, purple jewelry and arcane is uh, wonderful right here as well. Does not have to be gold. Does not have to be bloodthirsty. Um, your gear. I am using Zon. This is out of Scale Collar Peak Veteran. Once again, I said I was setting this up for like a 600 CP setup. Most 600 CP people should be able to complete Vet Scale Collar Peak. If I'm not picking on you if you haven't, you're above that. You just haven't found the right people to help with the dungeon, I guess maybe. But you should be able to get through it at 600 CP without too many difficulties, to be honest with you. Now, our gear, our body pieces, the difference between golding this stuff out and keeping it purple is pretty minute, to be honest with you. It's not a necessity. You see, like my Mundus Stone effect right here. This when it's purple, it's 6.5%. When it's divine or when it's gold, it's 7.5%. But I'll tell you right now, I use the Shadow Mundus Stone. If all of my gear is in divines and I'm using the Shadow Mundus Stone and it's all gold, I get 19% more critical damage done. If I'm using all purple gear, all in divines with the Shadow Stone, I'm getting 19% more critical damage done. There is literally no difference in the bonus the Mundus Stone gives you, which is kind of jacked in my opinion because, you know, each one's a whole percentage more according to the stats, but it doesn't change how much damage the Mundus Stone gives, how much bonus damage the Mundus Stone gives you. So I digress. I wish that would change, but I guess it's just not hitting the. It's not hitting a jump point apparently for this game. But the differences between them will be smaller amount, a minuscule difference in your spell and physical resistance, and a minuscule difference in your overall stats. But not a necessity to gold out all of your equipment. It is, however, a necessity to gold out your weapons. Your weapons make a tremendously large difference when it comes to the amount of damage you do. Um, the weapons, a lot of times, are the hardest things to find because drop rates on them always seem lower. And if you go to a trader looking for these weapons, you're going to pay a boatload of money. Except for this staff right here that I have, this Argonian Muckminder of Mother Sorrow. When you're in Dasan, let me bring Dasan up here. So when you're in Dasan, this place right here, Silent Mire. There is a Silent Mire quest here. Takes 5 to 10 minutes to complete, and when you are finished with it, you get a green quality Argonian Muckminder of Mother Sorrow, which is a lightning staff of Mother Sorrow that is already infused. Um, You can do this on multiple tunes and get multiple versions of this. Just you want to make sure the tune you're doing it on is CP 160, so you're getting a CP 160 staff. But these weapons, these two lightning staves that you need for this build, you can get for free in about 20 minutes by doing the quest on two different tunes. They'll both be infused, so all you'll have to do is gold both of them out. Put a weapon and spell damage enchantment on one, and I have this one here as precise. Do I have a? Yeah, see, I have one here that has the. I use this in Daedra dungeons for extra damage on Daedra dungeons, and then I use this is the one that I normally use. So I'm getting a little bit more increased weapon and spell critical out of this one because it is precise. Um, but the one that you can get for free is infused, which when you put a shock damage on there, it'll be about 4,300 shock damage, opposed to the 2939 that you see here. Um, but definitely gold them out. And the staff that you're going to be putting down your unstable wall with is the staff that you want to have this weapon damage and spell damage enchantment on, because with the infused weapon enchantment, or the infused trait with the weapon damage enchantment, that 452 can stay up 100% of the time as long as you're reapplying that blockade or that unstable wall before it falls off. So 100% uptime on an extra 452 spell damage is pretty big, plain and simple. Rotation. Didn't go over that yet. So rotation is as simple as this gets. Light attack unstable wall. Light attack lightning flood. Bar swap. Light attack Daedric Prey. Light attack activate pet. Light attack degeneration. Fully charged heavy attack. Bar swap. Start over. 5 abilities. 5 abilities with light attacks in between them. Heavy attack at the end, and bar swap and start over. Very simple, very easy, and as you're going to see here in a second, it does decent damage output. So with this build as well, you know, I can use just like I got these Essence of Health potions right here. Just your good old normal tri-stat potion. Health recovery, magicka recovery, stamina recovery. And these are easy to make. The mats for them are cheap as hell. A lot of people already have trash magicka pots that they've picked up in the wild. Now, those aren't as good because they don't provide you with your recovery for the full amount of the full duration of the potion. You only get like 27 seconds of the 45-second cooldown, but it's still better than paying god awful amounts for cornflower right now. So you don't have to have the spell power pots. You can use trash magicka pots, make just regular magicka pots, or make tri-stat pots like these that are fairly cheap. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to apply my elemental susceptibility. What this does is applies major breach for 20 seconds, and the elemental susceptibility one here, anytime I deal damage to an enemy, it refreshes the effect to the maximum duration. So I can put this on, I can take off my wall, put this on, put my wall back on, and as long as I tack it before that ability, before the elemental susceptibility leaves or goes off, it'll keep it up 100% of the time during this parse. So what that's going to do, it's going to provide me with a number as if we were in a dungeon with a tank providing taunt and breach. So same type of numbers we would get if we're in a dungeon with a tank that is doing what he's supposed to be doing, or what she is supposed to be doing. Alright, so very easy rotation. We're going to drop ultimate. We're going to drop our Atronach at the end of the first rotation and then go from there. So 3, 2, 1. See how easy that rotation is? Wall, lightning, prey, pet, degeneration, heavy attack. Now you're not breaking any DPS numbers or setting the world on fire with DPS with this setup. Here's this double heavy attack I was telling you about went off balance. Look, my Magicka went back clear almost to full. You're not going to set any DPS world records with this, but you're going to see that it's a good amount of damage for an easy peasy rotation, and I think people are going to be happy and impressed with the type of damage that he can get. It's going to help them teach themselves how to rotate properly, and then they can start doing things even better and quicker, and start adding things in. But there you go, right there. See, very easy rotation, not a whole lot involved in it. 33,442. If you're doing 33,000 damage, I want you in my dungeon group because a lot of times anything over 25,000 damage per second is going to be good enough to complete any veteran content. So, veteran content, if 4-man content, maybe short of some of the vet DLC hard modes, but even so, right there, I still think you're good. So, now, that was easy rotation. 33,000 in damage. Now, one other thing I want to show you real quick is if I take off my inner light or my bound Aegis, I take off my bound Aegis and I put on my Twilight Tormentor right. This Twilight Tormentor does really good damage. The only difference in rotation here is going to be for the first 50% of the target's health here. I'm going to be activating the Tormentor once per rotation. So let me figure out what the heck I'm doing here. Here we go. Alright, so put on our elemental susceptibility again, so we're getting the numbers like we'd be getting if a tank was doing his job. And I'm going to start off by activating my bird so it's ready instantly. And here we go. All I'm doing there is just activating that bird at the end of that rotation before I heavy attack. The only difference we've made in this rotation, and then at 50% we're going to stop hitting it because after 50% it doesn't do any bonus damage. Or when it's under 50% it doesn't do any more bonus damage. So there's no use in hitting it now because we're at 52%. There's that off balance procced right at the right time, so we're going to double heavy. And look where my Magicka just went. Bam, back up to like 30k in Magicka. Alright, so there we go. We added the bird in, and we hit 35,191. Now, we only did one ultimate there, where on that previous parse, we had dropped that Atronach twice. You know what, just for the shits and giggles of it, let's go ahead and hit this real quick again. And we'll drop Atro twice if we can again. We'll see what kind of damage difference we get there. So, once again, activating the bird beforehand and starting. Caught our Atronach as at the end of the first rotation. Ooh, here's that. I'll be able to sneak 2 heavy attacks in and get clear back to full Magicka just about. I'm not going to activate my bird again. It's not going to be worth it. It's going to fall off at 52%, and it's already past 50 now, so... Here we go, drop that second ultimate. Dropping that second ultimate's almost a waste, because look, he's still there. You didn't get the good uptime on him. We lost out on probably 8 seconds worth of his usefulness right there, but real close to 36.5 right there. So a little jump, once again, a little jump in DPS as well. So when you're looking at 2 Atronachs and bound ages, 33,400, and 2 Atronachs with the bird, you're looking at 36,400. 3k, roughly a 3k difference in DPS right there per second. So the bird does add some damage to you, to the output. I don't think I want to continue making this any longer here. I was just trying to do some small little things right here to show you some things that that you can start off with. After you get better with those and get a good grasp on that rotation and how it works, is when you can start throwing things in otherwise in within the rotation, like your crystal fragments and things like that, to get you some big bulk damage. But 36,400 right there. It's a pretty decent number for as easy as that rotation is, and as cheap as it will be when it comes to the materials needed to keep that up when it comes to like pots and things like that. So I hope this helps out, guys. Charlie, this was, I had you in mind when I made this. Wanted to be able to show you exactly some of the things that I was talking about when we were discussing this the other night, and this is exactly what I was talking about. With this setup in the Mother Sorrow, you can definitely hit really good numbers. You just have to know how to put it together. But thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate it greatly. And happy